This is how they control the media. I remember watching a show, this is years ago, and there was a commercial on a political show, and the commercial was for a company called Kerr-McGee. And at the time, Kerr-McGee's number one thing is they made offshore drilling sites. That was and that was what the commercial was for, how they make offshore drilling sites. I said to myself, who the hell randomly buys an offshore drilling platform? Nobody does. I'm not watching TV. You know what I need? An offshore drilling platform. I'm so glad I saw this commercial. Let me call up, buy one. Nobody does that. So why would you require a commercial? So you can control the narrative. So they don't talk bad about energy. Because if they do, you pull your advertisement. So you buy advertising to control the narrative, not to sell your product. You're already making money, right? So you don't have, no one's going to buy anything from your ad. You don't care. But you want to make sure you keep these guys in line. So you buy a bunch of ads that now you can pull away. It's literally like prison, right? I'm going to give you another example in prison. In prison, there was a thing in New York State to give prisoners iPads. And people got mad. Don't give prisoners iPads. They don't deserve it. And the CEO's correct. So I was like, no, please. We want to be able to give the prisoners iPads so we can take them away if they mess up. This is the same thing how the corporate deal with the media. We'll give you the money, mess up, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Mr. Larry Sharpe with us. That was some great commentary regarding what's going on in the West African nations and giving us some historical analysis. I thank you very much for that as well, by the way. But so one of my first questions that I actually wanted to ask you, and really this is just a way to get to know you a little bit better, as far as let me find my notes here. So can you give us an overview where you started politically and how you've migrated to where you are today?
Yeah. When I was, I grew up in the South Bronx in Manhattan. I'm sorry, in New York. And I think most of my family was very left. They didn't like people like Ronald Reagan. And I didn't know why. I was a kid. I didn't know. And I was like, why? And they would say, well, because he's a Republican. So by default, he's bad. That's kind of how my family thought. I didn't really care much about politics at all when I was growing up. It wasn't a big deal for me. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. My father died when I was young, and I had no real positive male role models in my life. I'll give you an interesting story. I was going to join the Army because my father was in the Army. So that I'm gonna go join. By the way, that's my father's flag. He has passed away since. So my father was in the Army, so I was gonna join the Army, right? So that okay, I'll go join the Army. Life is good. I'll go do that. And I went there, and when I went to the Army recruiter, he was like, oh my God, we're going to make you a general in 3 weeks. You're going to be traveling the world. You're going to be fine women, going to be all over you. You're going to have you're going to be a PhD in a month. I mean, he just promised me everything. And I was like, man, this is great. Why doesn't everybody join the Army? This is amazing. I'm getting everything. So I grab all the book bag and all the stuff they give me with all the stuff they give you with the propaganda. And I walk outside thinking, all right, I'm going to join the Army. Right there is the Marine recruiter. It's all same building. He says, hey, son, you got a minute? I said, yeah. Brings me in, sits me down. He says, that Army guy, he promised you a lot, right? I said, oh my God, he promised me everything. I'm going to be a general. I'm going to be traveling the world. Hot women are going to be all over me. I was going to be amazing. He promised me everything. He goes, you know what we call that in the Marine Corps? I said, what? He said, we call that the solar plan. Everything under the sun. He goes, you know what I'm going to promise you? I said, what? He said, 4 hard years. Are you ready? And I said, yes. And I signed up. That's how I joined the Marine Corps. And I didn't know why I did that. But I look back now and I know why. I was desperately looking for positive male role models. Desperately. And I didn't know it. I mean, now I look back. I didn't know it then, but I did. And he was a positive, strong brother when I needed exactly that. Right? And that's why I joined. I joined the Marine Corps and I became more conservative. People say, why? Marine Corps is the most conservative branch of the military, not even close. And my first commander-in-chief was Ronald Reagan. So I think I moved a little bit from the left towards the right when I was a young Marine. I shifted. But then when I got out of Marine Corps 7 years later, I was very disenchanted. I thought I was the kid because I was a hardcore Marine. I mean, I literally still have a tattoo that I got in the Philippines. So yes. So I was a hardcore Marine. I was one of those kids who was like, bomb everybody. Who cares? I was a total warmonger. I was all that guy. I am so not that person now, but that's who I was. I'm a total pacifist. I do not want war at all, but that's not who I was when I was 18, 19. So when I got out, though, I was very disenchanted. I realized it was all big grift. I realized it wasn't the right answer. And it was hurtful for me because I was such a true believer. Right? You ever had that in your life when you really believe something and then all of a sudden you don't, and it really hurts?
Yeah.
That was me. Like I bought it. I bought it. And then I realized, oh my God, it's all BS. So when I came out, I wasn't very happy. So I just I was like Ross Perot, because he's not the others. And Ralph Nader, because he's not the others. I voted whoever was not the establishment. That's what I voted for. That's how I did it. And to be forward with you, I couldn't have told you any of their policies. I was not a policy guy. I was trying to make my life. I was a teacher. I was a sales rep. I was an entrepreneur. I'm still an entrepreneur now. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years, 19 years now. So I was running my business. I didn't care about politics. I was just trying to make money. That's what I was doing. So then Obama came.
Oh.
And I bought the Obama 100%.
Wow.
I did. And I look and say, why did I buy it? Man, I wanted to. I wanted to believe this wonderful black man could come in and fix things. I wanted to believe it. So I did. I bought it. I voted for Obama in 2008 thinking, yes, this is finally, okay, Jesus is here. It's come. It's done. Jesus is here. We're good. And yes. And within 2 years, I was so angry, I wasn't going to vote anymore. And again, it goes back to it because like Bush didn't make me angry because I didn't expect anything from him, right? That makes any sense. Like I didn't expect anything from him. I didn't expect anything from Clinton. I didn't expect anything from Bush. I didn't expect anything from them. But I bought Obama, if you see what I'm saying. Like I bought it. So I thought, yeah.
Too, so yeah.
So when he was just Bush Jr., when he wasn't doing anything that he was supposed to do, when he wasn't making anybody's life better, when he wouldn't even talk about the crisis that was destroying our communities in the 80s and 90s that he was in, he wouldn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on here? So I wasn't going to vote at all. I was out. I was done. I was like, none of this works. I'm just going to focus on my business, focus on my family. It doesn't matter. I'm done. But then I heard Gary Johnson speak in 2012. And Gary Johnson was talking about what I was doing. He was an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. He was talking about taking ownership of your life, taking ownership of your business, taking ownership of everything. You can take ownership. And I was like, what? Who's talking about that? Everybody's telling me how they're going to save my life somehow, how they're going to do something amazing and make everything wonderful and never going to do anything. They don't care about me. Gary Johnson was saying, no. We can make a world where you can do it. And he was a self-made man, which I loved, right? I love that. I connected with that, right? He's a guy who, he didn't take donations when he ran for governor in New Mexico. He financed his own, everything on his own. I was like, okay, I like that. That turned me on libertarianism. That's how I became libertarian, from Gary Johnson in 2012. From that, I started supporting libertarian candidates, supporting the party. I actually found something I thought made some sense to me. Nothing else made sense to me. That made sense to me. And it seemed, the people I met seemed to actually want to help. And every other Democrat, Republican only cared about grifting. They always wanted me to donate to them, and that's all they ever wanted. Right? That's it. That's all they wanted. Right? But the other ones didn't. They would actually talk to me. They actually cared about it. They had policy. They had to answer for something. But okay, maybe this is the plan for me. So in 2016, I wanted to be his VP pick. He ran again in 2016. And I ran locally. I ran the internal, the primary system for the Libertarian Party to become the vice presidential candidate. It was almost a Johnson Sharpe ticket in 2016. I lost by 31 votes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So yes. And it became a Johnson Weld ticket instead. And we did well. Libertarians did well. Best we'd ever done. We got 4.5 million votes, which for us is amazing. We never get that amount. I mean, that was a lot of votes for us. Right. And Gary Johnson was the face of the party for a while. And then he went away. And then I decided, you know what? I was disappointed, but I still cared about the party. I thought it was important. I began to understand that third parties matter. like it matters. And people get mad at me because libertarians do, because I'm friendly and support people like Andrew Yang and Dr. Cornel West. Like I promote Dr. Cornel West stuff, not because I personally like either of them more than anybody else, but because I will take any third party over the duopoly. Because if I can't break the system, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. If the system is set up against us, I believe my views are the best views, but I don't have a problem with everybody's views being there. And if they're right, then they're right. Right? A lot of my libertarian views, I actually support voluntary socialism. Like I have policies to support co-ops. And libertarians go, why would you want to support a co-op? Because that's voluntary. People should be able to organize their communities how they see fit.
That's self-determination.
Right? Yes. More direct democracy, more self-determination, more localization, nothing but good. Whoever gets me that, I'm in. Who gets me that? I'm in. That's the guy I want. That's the gal I want. I'm for that person, right? That's what I want. So from that point, I started thinking third party is the right answer. But I got upset and I decided I was going to pack up and I was going to leave New York. I was tired of New York. New York is collapsing. It's been collapsing for years. It's still collapsing. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be out. It's a one-party system, which is never good. People say it's only because Democrats. No, it's a one-party system in Oklahoma, Kansas, and those states collapse too.
Florida.
Anytime there's a one-party system, it collapses, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter. So we're a one-party system here in New York State, so it's a disaster. So I thought I'm going to go leave, and I thought I'm going to go to a big city. For what I do, I'm a business consultant for my daily life. I do trainings, coaching. I do classes, teach at universities, whatever they want me to do, I'm happy to do it. That's what I do for a living. So I need a big city. And I thought, you know what? I'll try Charlotte. Charlotte's a big city. I can still make my money. So I thought I could sell my shoebox of a house here in New York City and buy a mansion in North Carolina. I have tons of money left over, right? It'd be great. But instead of me moving, I got angry. I thought, why am I leaving? Why do I have to be bullied out of my home? I'm born here, raised here, my family's here, my business is here. What? No, I'm going to go back. I'm going to run for governor. I'm going to win and fix the state. That did not go as planned. But I went back and I ran and I got my ass kicked. However, I did the best anyone had ever done in a state as a libertarian. I got 100,000 votes. The party became an actual party. I had policies. I was on the debate stage, got on Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, all the big boys. It was a great campaign. I wish I'd done better, but I learned a lot of lessons. And I'll give your audience some inside baseball if you want to hear it.
Sure.
When I was running, I couldn't be in any of the polls. And I was like, why am I not in a poll? In 2018, I was on the ballot. I had raised $500,000, which again, for Democrats, Republicans, that's nothing. But for a libertarian third party, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? For libertarian, a lot
Third
of money.
party, yeah.
Yes. So I raised a bunch of money. I was on the debate stage. I was on the ballot. Why am I not in the polls? And the polling companies were very open. They said, well, you don't buy the poll. I said, what? So you got to buy the poll. I said, what? If I buy the poll, I'm in the poll? They went, yeah. I didn't know that. I had no idea. What? Most people don't know that. You want to be in the poll, buy the poll.
You have to pay to be on the poll?
Yes.
You know what? You know what? I'm telling you right now. This is what?
Yes. That I didn't know either.
That's some BS. Like,
yes.
What?
Remember when RFK Jr.
Larry, are you kidding me right now, bro?
No. Remember in the early part of this year when RFK Jr. was just starting to get popular, there were a bunch of polls and he was in none of them.
Oh,
that's because the Democratic Party was buying the polls and they said, keep them out. Done deal. That's how it works, literally. So buy the poll, you're in the poll. So I went, okay, so let me ask. This is what I said. Okay, so how much does the poll cost? It went $40,000.
What?
Yes. $40,000.
All right. This is rigged.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Why do you think I'm about breaking the system?
Yeah, me too.
That's why I'm about breaking the system.
Dude, are you kidding me right now? Holy crap.
So you buy the poll, you put who you want in the poll.
No wonder this explains so much.
Yes, it does.
Because when they're saying there was this Paul Krugman. I was talking about him last week, where he was talking about how the polls show that everybody's doing fine.
Yes.
That really we say the economy's horrible. We don't behave that the economy's horrible. And I'm like, y'all didn't poll me. Y'all didn't poll all the people in my neighborhood.
Let me be very clear. I got to go even further than this.
Okay, please.
If I buy the poll, who do you think writes the questions? I do. I bought the poll. I write the questions. Who do you think decides who you call? I do. I bought the poll. Yeah, you ain't getting called. Nobody want to hear from you, JB. I'm sorry, I love you, but nobody want to hear from you. You're not getting called. It's true. Ooh. Nobody calling you. Sorry. If it makes you feel any better, they're not calling me either. So, but they're not calling you. No, they're not.
But yeah, so this is why when, polls, they matter, but they don't matter, because it's just like, who really, because it's funny, because I actually did a poll. I did a poll on my show. And it was about 250-ish people that voted in the poll. And over 80% of them, because I asked the question, are you doing okay economically? 80% said no. 5% said not sure. 0% said yes. No. 95% said no. 5% said not sure. And then 0% said yes.
So let me go further on the poll part, if I could.
Sure.
Because your point's a valid one. How do you know what's a good poll? This is why, to be fair, if your viewers, your audience, look at a poll, look at the aggregate polls. That's accurate. Why? Because each side's trying to make the poll look best for themselves. Overall, you do get a good picture.
Got it.
Right? Any individual poll is probably garbage. You put them all together, it's pretty accurate. It's going to be close to that, because this is why PACs matter so much, right? So I don't want to buy my own poll, because then it's poll bought by Larry Sharpe. Everybody goes, oh, it's bogus. So I make a PAC, and I call the PAC the Super Fair USA is Awesome PAC. I call it that. And then I give them money, or I have you. I say, JB, you're a rich guy with tons of money. Don't give me money, because then people will know you back me. Don't do that. Instead, you give this PAC money. Don't give me the money. And the PAC money is unlimited. So you give the PAC $1 million. What does the PAC do? It buys a poll. So the PAC is not, the poll is not bought by Larry Sharpe. It's bought by the Free American Fair Cool People PAC. Well, that sounds great, doesn't it? So that poll's got to be fair. No, I wrote the poll and gave it to them. And you, my backer, gave them the money. Wow. That happens all the time. Now, here's the issue. That's probably a BS poll. But whoever's for me is writing those polls, but then whoever's against me is writing opposite polls. So when you get the aggregate, like at 538 or Real Clear Politics, those aggregate polls are probably pretty good, because they wind up making it fair. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's taking some from one side that is leaning, or that is more for one side and the other, and it kind of cancel each other out, and it kind of just goes to exactly, not exactly, but it gives around more of an accurate sense of what the numbers are regarding between the polls. It gives the averages about within those polls. I got it.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense, though. But thank you so very much for that.
Of course. But it gets worse, though. It gets worse. Yeah, because I wasn't being covered in the press. Well, so I go to the press and I say, wait a minute, why aren't you covering me? Again, it's 2018. I was on the ballot raising money. Why not? They literally said to my face, well, you don't buy ads. I said, what? You don't buy ads. So if I buy ads, you cover me? Yeah.
But what is the hell what's the journalist supposed to do? They're supposed to cover.
Journalists, look at you. Journalists, look at you. Do you hear what you just said?
Wait, Larry, are you doing my summer child to me right now?
Journalist.
I just got Sweet Summer Child by Larry Sharpe.
You did. You just did. Yes, you did. Yes.
I deserved it. I deserved it, Larry. I deserved it. Yeah. I'm sorry. It slipped my mind that we actually live in a propagandized country. My bad. I'm sorry.
I forgive you. All good. So yes, but no, literally. And so again, this is where you get the packs that work out well, right? Because now I have a pack. I don't buy the advertisements, right? And you'll see it. There'll be a pack. It'll say paid for by friends of Larry Sharpe.
Yeah.
Right. Paid for by Make America Great. Paid for by the democratization of the blah, 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 blah. That's a pack that my rich donor you put $1 million into that now they buy ads on my behalf. Since they buy ads on my behalf, everyone knows who they're buying ads for. They now cover me. Now I get to be on their morning show. Now I get to be in their TV show, whatever the case. Now I get to be in the newspaper because there's only 6 companies that own everything. So once I put a bunch of cash into something, I get to be in all the shows. That's how that works. I knew it was pay to play, but I had no idea how direct. It is direct pay to play.
Ooh.
Just direct, which actually I wish more people knew because at least it would be fairer.
Well, they know now because they're here now at this channel.
Yes. At least it's fairer. So. Yeah. Well, think about it. I never forget this. Right. This is how they control the media. I remember watching a show. This is years ago. And there was a commercial on a political show, and the commercial was for a company called Kerr-McGee. And at the time, Kerr-McGee's number one thing is they made offshore drilling sites. That was and that was what the commercial was for, how they make offshore drilling sites. I said to myself, who the hell randomly buys an offshore drilling platform? Nobody does. I'm not watching TV. You know what I need? An offshore drilling platform. I'm so glad it's commercial. Let me call and buy one. Nobody does that. So why would you require a commercial? So you can control the narrative. So they don't talk bad about energy. Because if they do, you pull your advertisement. So you buy advertising to control the narrative, not to sell your product. You're already making money, right? So you don't have, no one's going to buy anything from your ad. You don't care. But you want to make sure you keep these guys in line. So you buy a bunch of ads that now you could pull away. It's literally like prison, right? I'm going to give you another example in prison. In prison, there was a thing in New York State to give prisoners iPads. And people got mad. Don't give prisoners iPads. They don't deserve it. And the CEO's correct. So I was like, no, please. We want to be able to give the prisoners iPads so we can take them away if they mess up. This is the same thing how the corporate deal with the media. We'll give you the money, mess up, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. It's like Aaron Burnett out front, brought to you by Pfizer, right? Or it's like CNN Tonight with Don R.I.P. Don Lemon. His career. But brought to you by Lockheed Martin, and it's like, why would Lockheed Martin need to advertise on CNN or MSNBC or Fox?
Correct. No need. You're not going to go, you know what I need? Oh, a fighter jet. Well, actually, now you could. We just lost one. But I mean, you're not going to say, oh, my God, you know what I need? I need a weapon system. Let me call up Lockheed Martin and buy one. Of course not. Of course not. It's just made to control the narrative. So that, by the way, is why I ran again in 2022. Because I was so upset at what I saw. It reinforced my desire to break the system. It reinforced my desire of third parties, which is why what I did. New York State's very different. In New York State, we have a thing called fusion voting. Fusion voting means that we can, in New York State, it's very special for New York State, we can be listed on multiple lines at the same time. So I can be listed as, Democrat and Republican and Libertarian and Green more than once. You only vote one time, but it doesn't matter where that vote is. Any vote that's for me counts towards me. That's how that works in New York State. So I said, I'm going to take advantage of this. I started talking to the Forward Party. And I said, why don't we get together? I'll get the Libertarian line. You'll give me the Forward line. I'll be on 2 lines. Then I talked to the other one called the Unite Party. I said, United America Party, I'll do this. I have 3 lines. I'll be listed 3 times. Then I went to Republicans. I said, Republicans are doing well. This is a Democratic state. Republicans know they can't win. A Republican has not won a statewide election in New York State, not governor, not AG, not senator, in 22 years.
Wow.
It's almost 3-1 Democrats to Republicans. Republicans are ineffective in my state completely. Again, it's the opposite of Kansas, right? Kansas is totally Republican. Democrats never win. Opposite of Kansas, right? So in this case, I know the Republicans are going to lose. So I go to them. I said, look, let me run in your primary. Because I had a PAC that was buying polls for me because I learned my lesson. So I was polling at 6% before I announced. Now, for a libertarian in New York State to be polling at 6% is insane. That's insane. So the other parties noticed it because it was actual polls, Zogby polls. They were like, okay, this guy's real. Okay. And they were talking to me, how do we do this? We could maybe this could be a winnable race. Oh my God, maybe we could make some real impact. Okay, we do it. Went to Republicans. I said, Republicans, look, you don't got to pick me because I'm not a Republican. I'm libertarian. I get it because Republicans don't like me. And I said, okay, let me run in your primary the same way Bernie runs the Democratic. Bernie's actually a socialist, but he runs the Democratic primary. I said, I'm a libertarian. Let me run a Republican primary. And in New York State, you can do it. There's a piece of paper we have in New York State called a Wilson Pakula. I don't know why it's called that. It's just the name of it. If they sign it, I can run in their primary. I said, let me do that, and I'll win your primary. And when I win your primary, I will have a libertarian line, a forward line, a unite line, a Republican line, and a conservative line. I have all 5 lines. This is a winnable race. We could beat Kathy Hochul. And they went, Larry, we need you to become Republican. I said, no, I'm not a Republican. I'm not going to become a Republican. That's the duopoly crap that gets us in the place we got in the first place. I'm not going to do it. No. They went, then you can't run. I said, I'll lose. Democrats hate Republicans. They're not going to vote for a Republican. Libertarian vote. I know, because in 2018, 25% of the people who voted for me in 2018 were registered Democrats. So I know I cross over. I cross over. It's the data's in. I have the receipts. It's true. So I said, let's do this. And the Republicans said, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Larry. We're going to sue you off the ballot. So yes, that was their answer. Yes. And you might say, why would they do that? Because they knew I wouldn't grift. I'm not joking. The Republicans in this state want their fiefdom in the grift. And I'll give you this true story. And I'm going to name names. So if anyone said, check this out. This is, and I've named names before, and no one's attacking me. No one's calling me because they know I'm right. The guy who ran as a Republican was a guy named Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin was a congressperson on Long Island. New York State was going to redistrict because we had lost so many people. We had lost a congressional seat. So because of the census. So he was going to say, well, I might lose my seat. He's a crappy congressman. And they thought he might lose his seat. So he says, now what I'm going to do? I'm a crappy lawyer, crappy congressman. I got a family and kids to feed. What I'm going to do? I'll run for governor. I can grift a bunch of money, take all that money from Republicans who are going to believe somehow I'm going to win when I'm not. I can't win. So I'll take the money. Then later I'll funnel it into a PAC. And then I'll run that PAC and take a salary for the next 10 years. Awesome. Then maybe I'll get a TV show. Be awesome. He decides to run. Then the guy who was the head of the GOP here in New York State, he's like, man, how am I going to grift? He's like, I'm going to say we're going to beat the governor knowing that we can't. I'm going to tell people that we're going to take money, but I'll take that money myself, and then I'll run for office, and I'll get a cushy job forever. That was his plan. And I told people this ahead, what actually happened. They raised about $13 million. Lee Zeldin spent like 10 or whatever he spent, took the other 6. And I told people this before the election. I said, within 3 months, Lee Zeldin will be heading a PAC. What's he doing now? He's heading a PAC. Exactly what I said happened. He took that money, put it in a PAC, and that's legal. It is legal to take your money from your campaign and put it into a PAC. That's legal. Now he runs the PAC. Well, he's going to get paid for that, doesn't he? It's an executive job. So now he took the money people donated to him, and now that's his salary for the next 5 years. Not just that, because he's head of a PAC, he can now raise money for others, help other people raise money to get cut off of that as he's taking a cut. He has set himself up for life by grifting off of a bunch of Republicans. Now, the other guy who was our head of the Republican Party, he told everybody, he lied straight up. He lied. He said, we're going to win. We're going to win. I said, it's impossible. It's math. You can't win when there are 6.8 million registered Democrats in New York State and 2.6 registered Republicans. It's almost 3-1. You're not winning. I don't care how bad Kathy Hochul is. You're not winning, right? But he lied and said that. He raised a bunch of money. Then a local guy decided to run for Congress once the districts were shifted. This guy, Langworthy, is his name, Langworthy, decided, he stabbed the local guy in the back, The local guy who literally has a hospital wing named after him in Western New York. I'm not joking. That's how much money he donates to Western New York. He literally has a hospital wing named after him. Nick stabbed that guy in the back to run for office in the primary and then won, and Nick is now a congressman in Western New York. Yes. The problem is if I was top of the ticket, I wouldn't have allowed any of that. Well, they couldn't have that. There's no grifting with me. I'm trying to break the system. So they literally spent 6 figures, as did I, in courts. I went to court 8 times. 4 times in state court, 4 times in the federal court. I went pro se so I could speak. The judges in New York State did not give a damn at all. They completely told me to go to hell. I lost 8 times in a row. And again, I told the judges, I said literally, 500,000 people in New York State every 2 years vote third party, knowing that person's probably not going to win. So why would they vote third party knowing they're not going to win? It's a protest vote. If they didn't care, they'd stay home. They're not staying home. They're coming up, they're showing up, and they're voting against the duopoly. 500,000 every 2 years. If you have no independent person on the ballot this year, you are disenfranchised 500,000 New Yorkers. We don't care. Literally. One of the judges actually said on the record, these laws are made to keep people off the ballot. Like, fine. Guess how many people less voted last year than 2 years before? 500,000. It was the first time in 80 years there was no independent candidate on the ballot for governor of New York State. And 500,000 people less voted. What I said was exactly true. And nobody cared. So yeah, I'm a little burned. I'm a little angry. And you can see why I want to break the system. The problem is the judges are garbage. They're just part of the system too. They're political animals. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about any of that stuff. They care about how do I stay in charge. That's what they care about. So yes.
Yeah. In regards to what you said about judges, I mean, I covered what was going on with Clarence Thomas and his relationship with the billionaire Harlan Crow, who was basically funding his vacations and his escapades to different places like the Adrianax, and so it just goes to show that it goes very deep, even to the United States Supreme Court, how a lot of these even Supreme Court justices are being bankrolled by billionaires as well. The rot stinks at the head, and it's all the way at the top regarding the way the system operates, and it is just decrepit, how our system is set up. And it is we're ruled by supervillains, and the supervillains they're not even good supervillains. They're like,
I know, they aren't even cool. They don't have cool helmets or anything like that. They got nothing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. It feels like we're being rammed by Spaceball villains.
Yeah. Maybe they have a scar across their face or something, right? Like something cool. I agree.
Yes. Yeah, it would be cool if we had like a Justin Hammer or Thanos or a Lex Luthor, but we don't have that.
I take Magneto. I don't care. I'll take any of them.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 100%. What if they gave us Darth Helmet?
Correct. Yes. The worst.
So that's basically what they gave us. And it's just, it's crazy.
So I'm sorry I went long. I went long on the question. You asked me how I came to politics. I went a bit long, but I was hoping at least it was an interesting story to educate your audience on some things they may not have known. Well,
actually, it's good because you actually covered my second and third question already. So I'm actually quite happy. Because, my second question was, how do you get into independent media space, which you answered. And then you also talked about how, running for governor in New York and how it shaped your outlook, since running. And you answered that already. So thank you so very much for that.
Well, the other piece I want to bring up here with that is independent media. I'm a big fan, obviously. Right? I go on all the shows I can possibly go on because I think it's the best way for me to meet people. This is the future of media, right? The TV is on its way out, right? Mm-hmm. The audience of the TV is 70s and above. I have 2 kids who are teenagers. They don't watch TV at all. Like the only time they'll watch TV is if I put YouTube on the TV. That's the only time they'll watch TV. Otherwise, they don't watch TV ever. So that's going away completely. And so I see this as the future. For sure, this is the future. What's the second piece, though? As they get bigger, they begin to change too. And here's what I found out, how important legitimacy matters. In 2018, I was on the ballot. All the heavy hitters picked me up, right? That's when I was on all the heavy hitter shows in 2018. In 2022, the Republicans successfully sued me off the ballot. So, but here's how popular I was in New York State. I've been thrown off the ballot. I dropped $300,000 trying to get on the ballot and lost. I couldn't go any further. I wanted to take it to the Supreme Court. I ran out of money. I mean, even though a lot of donors love me, at one point they go, Larry, we love you, but 8 losses. No, I'm not giving you any more money. I'm out. I can't keep giving you money. You just keep losing, right? And I get it. I'm not mad at them for it. They supported me 8 times. So how am I going to complain, right? But I needed to go like 10. But I couldn't get there because I just ran out of money. So they had successfully got rid of me. But even with that, in October, I actually still polled at 2%. I was not on the ballot. I had no campaign. I polled at 2% to a point where Sean Hannity on Fox News literally got on, pulled the poll up, and told New Yorkers to not vote for me so the Republican had a chance to win. Sean Hannity actually told people to not vote for me. That was one of the proudest moments that I've had on that campaign last year. That was amazing.
2%.
So,
Wow.
Still, I mean, you might say 2%, oh, Larry's only 2%. 2% of 18 million New Yorkers? That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people who know who I am and wanted me to have a shot at getting on the ballot. So I yapped away. I apologize. But the reason why I say it is when I was sued off the ballot, all of a sudden those people forgot who I was. All of a sudden they didn't return my calls. All of a sudden they're like, Larry, who? Last year I was on almost none of the big boys. Why? They didn't see I was valid. I wasn't on the ballot. On the ballot matters, which is why I'm trying to have, this is why we have to deal with an issue, which is kind of off topic, but kind of on. It's one of my pet peeves. Access to the ballot is the way they destroy us. This is why we can't get third parties to work, because we can't get on the ballot. People say all the time, well, Larry, oh my God, Larry, you should, if you guys just run better candidates. We can't get, they literally throw us off the ballot. You can't vote because they won't let me on the ballot. And most people don't realize is the printing of ballots is new. It's not in the Constitution or any state constitution. You're supposed to have to write in whoever you want. People used to bring in their own ballots, blank. You put in who you want to put in. Now they created rules to make sure the 2 big parties control everything. That's party rules. That's not government rules. That's party bullshit.
Yeah.
They used to keep us off. So yeah, it's now almost impossible to get on the ballot in most states. And that's why you see people fighting. Say, well, Cornel West just run independent. No, he won't. He's got to find a party that has infrastructure that can physically get on the ballot. And right now in America, that's only 2 parties. Green, Libertarian. That's it. There's no other third party that has any realistic chance of getting on the ballot. Constitution Party exists, but they'll maybe get 25 states. Maybe. ASP might get 25 states. Maybe. Libertarian might get 50 next year, might not. Greens will not get 50 next year. They might get 40-something. Think about that. There are laws that keep you off of the ballot. And my argument to the judges was very simple. What is the harm in me being on the ballot? What's the harm? Right? Now, I was on the ballot in 2018. If you don't like me, don't vote for me. Millions of New Yorkers took that option in 2018. They did not vote for me. So there's no harm in me being on the ballot. But if I'm off the ballot, there is obvious harm. Because 100,000 New Yorkers voted for me in 2018. Most of them are still here. There's 100,000 New Yorkers who want to vote for me. You are taking away their voice. You are creating harm if I am not on the ballot. No harm if I am. If there's any judgment, why would you err on the side of no harm? It's a valid argument, I thought. They said, no, we don't want you on the ballot. Sorry.
Yeah. But this just goes in line with a lot of times, and from the more left side of the spectrum, we keep hearing, well, if somebody like Cornel West is running, then that's going to take votes away from Joe Biden. So it'll be it's the same with like the Libertarian side. It's like, but I never hear it from the Libertarian Republican side, though. That's the funny part. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just not listening closely enough, but I never hear, well, if you vote for Gary Johnson, then you're going to take votes away from Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
because the reality of it is, and people don't want to hear this, libertarians, actual libertarians, are nowhere near as right as people say they are.
Mm.
The people who call themselves libertarians are. People like Ben Shapiro call themselves libertarian. He's not a libertarian. He's a conservative. I'm not mad at him for it. I'm mad that he calls himself libertarian. Stop it. You're not. You're conservative. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is people who call themselves libertarians are actually right-leaning Republicans. Actual libertarians, if you meet some, you're meeting one right now, right? We're nowhere near as right as actual people think we are. That's the reason why they don't say it, because it's not true. I told you 25% of people who voted for me were registered Democrats with the idea that libertarians are hardcore right. Yet I was the one whose plan was to actually legalize cannabis like a plant to allow local farmers to be able to have craft grows. That was literally my plan. You're hard right. That's hard right? No Republicans want that.
No, that's not hard right at all. That'd be a pretty base policy, in my opinion.
What I want is, I literally had a policy, and I said it, which was regulate like onions. That's how you regulate cannabis, like onions. Take away corporations. People say libertarians are corporatists. The opposite. We hate corporations. Corporations are monopolies. We don't like monopolies. We don't like government monopoly either. We like no monopolies. We want localization, more choice, more option, more direct democracy. Stop forcing people to do stuff. Let people be free. We want that. That's what we want.
I got you.
I was the one. I had an idea. Again, this is my policies are on my. I did literally, to tell you how, if you think I'm crazy for any reason, I did 8 hours straight with no break, no bathroom break, no food break, 8 hours straight live New York State policy. It's still on my Facebook. I'm sorry, my YouTube page now. Go to my YouTube page, click Larry Sharpe 8 hours. You will see it. It's time stamped for every policy that I had, for every single thing for 8 hours, and I ran out of time. I stopped at 8 hours. I had more to go.
Wow.
Actual solutions to fix things in New York State. You can't find that anyplace else. Only third parties can have that, because everyone who's left and right just goes culture war, right? If I'm on the right, I just yell. I just go, the left's evil. They're going to kill your kids, whatever. If I'm on the left, I yell, the right's evil. They're going to kill gay people. That's all I do. I don't have to have a policy. I just yell culture war stuff, and each side goes each side. I actually give people actual solutions. Now, Here's the issue. You might say you don't like my solutions, and I'm okay with that. But if I'm going to give you a solution, now we can talk about it. I'm not married to my solution. I'm married to a solution. If yours is better than mine, I'm in. I don't care. I want to solve things. Now, one thing I support that's not libertarian, I actually support public banks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not libertarian at all. Why do I support public banks? Because our system is so broken that no corporatist can ever support localized people being successful. A public bank can do that. Most people want to use public banks to build infrastructure. I don't. I want public banks to support localized people, co-op banks, co-op working, local credit unions. That system cannot function right now in New York State with our current financial system. It does not work at all. So we keep having big banks destroy people. I would like big banks to stop destroying people. So if we could localize banking, do co-op banking, we could actually build a localized sector. People say, well, libertarians want to get rid of government. I do. That's true. Accurate. Guilty as charged. But I don't want to get rid of government if I don't have community first to support it. People need help. People fall down. People get unlucky. People make mistakes. All kind of stuff happens to people. Their fault, not their fault, a combination, whatever. It's human nature. Now, if we don't actually have a localized system to support them, I get why you want government. Makes sense. People need help. We need to literally take time, and I mean maybe even decades. Most of our communities have literally lost the institutional knowledge to be able to support themselves.
Yeah.
And we saw that during the lockdowns. If you could actually have localized communities support each other, you can remove government. But you can't remove government until that exists. So you never hear me go, abolish, abolish, abolish. A lot of libertarians talk that way. I don't, because I recognize that people need help. We have to get the community involved first, because community will always, here's the biggest thing to remember, and this is an emotional piece, which is true, which is when someone has a problem, whatever that problem is, addiction, financial issues, medical issues, mental issue, whatever it is, the first thing they need is not a program. The first thing is somebody who cares. then you can figure out what the next step is. Is it a program? Is it someone's house? Is it a hospital? I don't know what it is. Depends, right? But someone who cares. How can government care? It can't. Government checks a box, gives you services that are in that box, and that's all.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have actual community who know you, who go, no, here's what Larry needs. Let's find a way to help him out. If that becomes the norm, and right now it is not the norm, if that becomes the norm, we don't need government. So we have to build community before we destroy government. But in my perfect world, let's start building community. Let's start building it to where we don't need government anymore. That'd be awesome. Well, not anymore. We'd always need a bit of, I'm not an anarchist. I'm a minarchist. I'd want the smallest government possible because community is doing what it needs to do to support people who are in trouble. We just don't have that now.
I got you. Thank you very much for that. In fact, actually, you just keep drifting into the questions that I already have, man. Jeez Louise, Larry,
I've done this once or twice before.
Well, one of my questions is, if you were president of the United States, what would be the 3 policies you would put in place within your first 100 days?
There's so many. But I think there's a couple of them. Mm-hmm. One would be, I'll try to mix and match domestic and foreign policy if I can.
Sure.
We have to, when it comes to foreign policy, we have to recognize that the military-industrial complex is very powerful. Mm-hmm. It is something that the deep state and the military-industrial complex cannot just be ended. I wish it could, it just can't. If I were to say it were to be ended, the CIA would decide that I no longer like living above ground. That's how that works. We know this to be true. So what I have to do is instead decide that we need to end all the wars. But when we end the wars, military-industrial complex says, wait a minute, how am I going to make my money? Stop all the embargoes from all the stupid countries we're embargoing. Stop embargoing Canada, North Korea, Iran. End all the embargoes. That a president can do. Do it immediately. End all the embargoes. Then, this is not libertarian, but I think the only way to actually make it work. Allow these military-industrial complex people to have contracts with non-weapons to these countries for a short-term monopoly. Why do I say that? These big companies right now, the Raytheons of the world, they don't know how to compete. They cannot compete. They want to sell goods to the government. They don't want to kill people, to be forward. They just don't care, right? They know that if I sell my bombs, I sell my guns, I sell my tanks, they go to the government always pays. It's always insanely expensive. They never complain on price. It's all good, no competition. That's what they're accustomed to. So I give them that. But I give them that in countries that we're opening up, and I give them a short-term monopoly so they can get some money and learn how to compete. This is something they might want to do. And please don't sell them bombs. Sell them trucks or computer. I don't care, whatever. Sell them something else. Go do that. We do that, they may be willing to let go. And that's, I have to make sure that these people can make money without killing people. And sadly, we built the last 100 years on us doing that. I can't just break that. I wish I was a way to do so. Meanwhile, we look at every single agreement that we have across the country, about 800, I think, either agreements, treaties, or SOFA status agreements. All of them have opt-outs in some way, shape, or form. We go through and we slowly begin to pull back the military-industrial complex. I would start that process immediately. Day one, I begin the process. It's probably not done for 3 or 4 years. We vote, but eventually you pull it all back. Also, I don't want to, as you bring the troops home, just dismiss them because they all have contracts. They all are thinking they're going to stay in. I don't want to all of a sudden put, 500,000 homeless vets on the street. It's not going to work either, right? So I also to wean them off, to get them out. Also, that's why it's about a 4-year plan to move that. That's externally. Internally, I want to make a lot of shifts, right? One of them is election reform, right? We have to make our elections to where they're much fairer when it comes to parties. Basically breaking up the party system, right? Ending gerrymandering, all the things that would actually get us to actually have a say. Right now, we don't have a democracy, right? Where I live in New York City, it is so blue, the Republicans don't even bother running a candidate. They haven't run a candidate in 10 years. That's how blue it is. They don't bother running a candidate. The last time the Republicans ran a candidate, he lost by 70 points, 7-0. He lost 85-15. Last time a Republican ran in my district. Yep, that's how bad it is. With that in mind, the Democratic Party decides who their person is. Therefore, the Democratic bosses decide who rules me. That's not a democracy. So we have now, right? So I have to break that. But the other thing I have to break here is the war on drugs. The war on drugs has to go away, right?
Mhm.
Has to go away. First thing we do is we deschedule cannabis. Take it off. That's the sign of the pen. First day off. It's no longer, right? It's done.
Sure.
Next, I create the Office of the Pardon. I'm not joking. The Office of the Pardon. And literally their job is to pardon people from stupid DAs and stupid prosecutors. Now you might go, Larry, you're pardoning a lot of people. Yes, a lot of them. You start in the first 3 months to 6 months. Once DAs realize what's not being prosecuted, they'll stop. That's how we stop civil asset forfeiture, which is to go away, right? Gets rid of that. And the advantage of doing these types of things means that will make a precedent for the state level. Now state level activists go, the federal government's doing it. Now there's a precedent. So that would affect all the rest of the nations, getting rid of civil asset forfeiture, getting rid of the war on drugs, which is just a way of putting more brown and black people in prison. And now white people in droves too. Right now it's everybody's problem. That, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the third piece, which is kind of a combination, if I stop bombing overseas, there'll be less refugees coming to America. But also when it comes to immigration, we have to create a new Ellis Island plan for migrants. I am not against immigration. I am against immigration with no plan, which is what we have now. That's a disaster. If you want to bring migrants in, okay. Get them through an Ellis Island, give them an orange card, give them a 2-year work visa, go work, check in every 2 years. You can make that work. That can be done with a private company. This should not be government. If it's government, it'll be grift. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And no taxpayer dollars. So no one will vote for it if it's taxpayer dollars. So you can't get it with taxpayer dollars. It's got to be done by literally a recruiting company like Robert Half or something like that. They create 2 or 3 Ellis Islands on the border, southern border. If you want to come to our country, no worries. Go to the Ellis Island. Go there. 3 separate companies. Because this way, if one company is bad and cruel, people will go to other companies. The market will actually work if you have 3 separate companies, and the government can oversee it and remove the license if they screw up. Right? So some company's bad, move your license, new company goes in. Now people go there. You outsource it. And how do you outsource it? You look at right now in most states, you get your car inspected. It's not done by the government. It's done by a local garage. They outsource the inspection to the garage. They follow government rules, but the garage does it. Same thing in Ellis Islands. It's a recruiting company, and they get paid by the migrants and or by the companies where they place these migrant workers. You say, Larry, these guys don't have any money. Yes, they do. They're literally paying traffickers and coyotes every day, thousands of dollars. Of course they are. So pay in the regular market to get people to go in and get you a job, find you a home. That's what they do. Somehow these recruiting companies literally move people, millions of people across the country all day and across nations all day, all the time. Somehow they do it. They know how to do it. Let them do it. That will solve our migrant crisis. Those are my 3.
I got you. I mean, there's some overlap in agreement and there's some disagreement, but thank you for,
I am a libertarian. We're not going to agree on everything.
Yeah, of course, But I appreciate those because, I mean, really you're looking at it from a humanitarian aspect.
Yes.
Not just some xenophobic, just close the border, which I appreciate. So thank you very much for that. My final question is, what do you think is the most pressing concern facing the United States?
Division. That's the most thing, more than anything else, because as we're divided, we can't solve anything. And while we can't solve anything, people become desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. The war on drugs is the perfect example of this, right? Yeah. Perfect example of this. Desperate people do desperate things. People aren't doing bad because they're poor, right? People say poverty causes crime. It doesn't. Desperation does, which comes from poverty. However, I want to make sure that distinction does matter. That nuance matters. Okay. It is not the poverty that does it. It's the desperation from poverty that does it. But it is the desperation, right? Wealthy people who are desperate do dumb things too. Does that make sense? Desperation. Now, obviously, if you're poor, you have more desperation than if you're wealthy, obviously, right? So you have much more when someone's poor. But it's desperation that does it. When people can't fix their problems, they become desperate. And they will do desperate things. And when that happens, we don't solve things. There's a worst part of this division. This divide and conquer drives me crazy. And I'll use the migrants as an example. I just did I do a radio show every Tuesday. I'm out of Rochester, New York. It's a remoted out of New York, but it's out of Rochester, New York. And that's about migrants. And I said, I'm not mad at migrants. If I was in their country, I might come here too. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the system that is purposely telling them to come, letting them in with no answer for them. No answer. Just good luck. Why would you do that? Now you're making them desperate. So now when they do desperate things, we're mad at them. Well, we put them in a situation, right? Don't put people in desperate situations. They don't do desperate things. And that's what winds up happening. My point was, I'm not mad at the migrants. I'm mad at us for having a bad system. Why does that matter? Because what's happening now is people getting mad at migrants. I see it. On my show, someone called them a leech. And I said, that's a bad idea to do that. I get your emotion because you're unhappy. I get the emotion. It's a bad idea. And the reason is now you're calling them, now it's you versus them when it should be us versus the elites.
I agree with that.
Elites set this up. They put this all in motion. This isn't a mistake, right? They put this all into motion to make sure we're fighting each other. If you notice when it comes to left-right paradigm, it is rare you see me get involved in culture war. Because once I get involved in the culture war, someone picks a side. Now I'm bad because now they use the thing they always do, which is character assassination. The left is worse than the right with character assassination, but they're both terrible. The left immediately goes character. The right will yell at you first and hope to berate you into a submission. If you don't get berated into submission, then they'll do character assassination. The left's the opposite. Immediate character assassination. If that doesn't work, then they berate you. It's reverse. Right. Yeah. So if I take a right-leaning position, the left goes, oh, that's because you're a conservative, or that's because you're this. Immediate character assassination. If that doesn't work, then they berate me. The right goes, you're not a patriot, you're an idiot. They attack first. That doesn't work. Then they go, well, you're a lefty is why. Then they go character assassination. But that's how they always work. It's berate, character assassination. And that works when it's just a left-right paradigm. But once there's a third party, in any situation, you and your mom aren't getting, I don't know how relationship with your mom is. I'm sake of argument. You and your mom aren't getting along, right? If you guys aren't getting along, what do you need? A third party, somebody to come in and go, hey, what's going on here? Maybe an uncle or maybe a sister or a cousin who knows you both, right? Hey, what's going on here? That's how you solve a problem when you have two people who can't talk. And we're at a point where we can't talk. We have to be able to talk, or this country is going to fall apart into violence. I don't want that. That's our biggest issue.
Thank you very much for that one. Now, as far as time-wise, I'm not sure how much time do you have, but I do have a news story that I was going to get into. If you would like to stay for that news story, that's cool, but I just wanted to give you that if in case you wanted to head out, because I wanted to be respectful of your time, because it's been.
Well, I thought we were doing an hour, so I kind of scheduled an hour, and we're at about an hour now.
Yeah. So, but if you can let people know where they can find you, and also I also have the link to your website in the description as well.
Sure. If anybody wants to follow what I'm doing, I'm on Larry Sharpe on all the things. Larry Sharpe Facebook, Larry Sharpe YouTube, Larry Sharpe everything else. I'm on Larry Sharpe all the things. And I will talk to literally everybody who wants to talk. I go out of my way. I talk to the left, talk to the right. I'm talking tonight at 6 p.m. to Laura Loomer, who is a hardcore MAGA activist. Hardcore. She is hardcore Trump MAGA. She'll be on my show tonight. We'll talk to her tonight. I'll talk to anybody. I had CJ on my show. I'll talk to anybody. Does not matter.
I'm a communist, though.
Yes, absolutely. Happy.
Yeah.
I actually did a preview. I did a show of Rome's movie 2 weeks ago. I did a whole commentary on it.
Wow. Okay.
I showed it, did a whole commentary on it. Yes, absolutely. If you care, you can go see it. It's on my YouTube page. I did a full commentary on it. 100%. Look, we have to talk. If I believe that you actually want to fix things, I'm talking to you. That's it. I'm talking to you. If I believe you want to fix things. And I think Rome wants to fix things. I see what he's doing. Rome wants to fix things.
He does.
I'm talking to him. Done.
Yep.
That's what I care about.
Yep. Yep. And that's the point. And we see how much you care about people too. The love is there, Larry. We see it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so very much, Larry. Catch you next time.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.